Well, hey, Gundamaniacs, welcome to the Gundam Explained show. It is the 1st of June, so we are getting into summer. That is awesome. I am your captain of this EFSF ship, Argama, Adam Blue. We got the co-captain, Cyber New Type, Steven. Steven, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Thank you, as always, for having me.
Oh, yeah, of course. I have to have you. I feel like without, I don't know what I'm doing. But what's awesome about today is we got an awesome guest, Jason, CYBERRANK10.
You have the muscle.
Twitch, badass extraordinary. Yeah, look at those muscles. Holy. No, but.
Just grew up this morning.
Awesome over here, right?
No, this is great. Thanks for being on. You've been one of the influencers helping out with like Gundam gaming stuff. So we'll probably dive in a little bit about some of what you do. But how you doing so far today?
I'm doing good. Had some coffee, did some push-ups, and just reminisced over some Gundam music with you guys before we got started. So
yeah,
that's a recipe for a great day.
No, that is, and I wonder how tired you are, because I think didn't you do like a huge stream yesterday of GBO2 PC?
Just a little one.
Yeah.
So it's I catch myself sometimes. I think it was like 11 hours, and I catch myself sometimes because I'm like, wow, I should be tired right now, but I'm not, because I'm thoroughly enjoying myself, and whatever
that's cool
chemical is pumping into my brain, it's keeping me like going. It's doing a really great job of doing it. It's not caffeine, trust me. Like it's pure engagement and enjoyment, and it's like, it's true. Like when you are doing something you truly enjoy, the hours fly. It's very true.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm glad you mentioned the exercising, because that's the thing with us sitting around all the time. Like, we have to remind ourselves to move. Like,
and that's the best part about the PC release of GBO2 is that the matchmaking is taking so long that you can get in some push-ups in between waiting for connection.
I do put my cam off, so I do that. I'm like doing bicep curls. Hey, chat, what's going on? Like, can someone make a lobby? Like.
No, that's cool. But yeah, so we're going to talk about you in a second. But for today's show, yeah, we might talk a little about GBO2 since that got its PC release. Also, there were some names for Gundam shows or movies or whatever that got released, I guess, because they're like, I guess it has to be with, trademarks being filed by Bandai Namco Filmworks. I'd love to speculate and see what that could be. And then, we'll see what chat has to say, because there's always something. And speaking of chat, you know what? I'm going to have to put on my old type gear real quick so I can read this. RXO Icy. I don't think I've seen you here before. Good to see you. Vegito. Okay, I get it. Yeah, Brian Zanichelli, Dan Vince, Schemo. My first live episode. Well, good to see you here. Jamcal X, Goose in the house, Shy Guy OC, WebFox. Good to see you guys. Rogue New Type, you're there too. All right, cool. So now to get started, what's cool about this episode is having Jason, CYBERRANK10 on. I met you through some others that are, in the Gundam sphere where we're trying to help promote content. So how long have you been doing Twitch?
8 years. 8 years.
Dang.
I've been doing it for about 8 years.
Wow, a life.
And it's like it all started because I feel like there's like 2 or 3 origin stories for people who start streaming, and like mine was just like I was in a really like depressive state internally and externally, and I grew up always laughing, and I caught myself one day and I was like, wow, like I'm becoming the pure opposite version of me. That I don't know who this guy is. Like I barely like find pleasure or joy in things, and so at my core I was like, I really do like video games, and I did grow up an only child for a hot minute, so like I do know how to have fun by myself. And I remember my first stream was like I didn't know what to do at all, so I put on these sunglasses and like I made the cam kind of big. I also had flowing locks at the time. That was ages ago. And I just played Metal Slug, because I remember that Metal Slug was one of those games that I rarely ever got to play in life, but like I have fun playing it. And
Metal Slug is good. Have you played through all of them?
No, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, if I live to the ripe age of 90 and I get stuck in a retirement home and they're like, what do you want to do all day, granddad? And I'm like, I just want to play Elden Ring and Metal Slug and Fallout and Skyrim. And like,
I think that's our future.
I mean, I think that that's the future of retirement homes in
Right.
general. It's just
Yeah.
sticking a VR headset on old people and letting them
Yeah, play the old
But,
play games.
the
Yeah.
glory days.
Yeah. I got to see myself happy, and I got to see myself. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I just said, I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. I got to see myself happy and like people engaged, and I was like, wow. I look back at this like 2-hour stream, and I looked at it like it was gold. I was like, wow, that's me. But like I'm enjoying myself and I'm having fun, and so ever since then, I realized I'm really good at having fun and enjoying myself, regardless of the circumstances, and it's contagious. So
Yeah.
other people started like coming in, and they're like, "This game sucks, but you're having fun. That's cool." You
Yeah.
know?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, because I think that was one thing that stood out was kind of that
Yeah.
positive aspect of it. Like, because there's so many things you can complain about all day. It's just like, who cares? Let's just have fun
And
about
I've done
whatever.
it.
Like,
it's like it's the other spectrum. It's like I've done that. Let me do this.
Yeah.
I know where that rabbit hole takes me. Let me try the polar opposite. So I totally agree.
yeah, no, that's cool. And so you were playing Gundam Evolution. That's kind of how you got folded in. But like, how did you get into Gundam in general?
Toonami.
Ah, okay.
Toonami got
That's
me
cool.
Gundam. It was the main reason why I tried to make sure. I say the word try. I try to make sure that I didn't get detention in school, because then I would miss the episodes of Toonami. And so at that time, there was no real way to save it. And then, I mean, I was smart enough to like operate the VCR, but like you never know who's home. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna watch the episode that I missed because I got caught in detention. And then you find out it's like Jerry Springer, and you're like, who?
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know he came on at like 3 something. Like, what is going on? But it was Gundam was basically like that hype of the Toonami era, where you got your mixed bowl of fruit, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Gundam, Samurai Pizza Cats, and all others. And I always wanted to know what happened next. I always felt like at the end of every episode, I had a new personality. I am Hiro Yu today. I am going to school tomorrow as Duo Maxwell. Today, I am Zex Marquise. And then like G Gundam would just made it like over the top, and I was like, wow,
that's cool.
Like, this is the best of both worlds, the Dragon Ball and Gundam.
So you were into anime in general, would you say?
Yeah, I was a weeb, total weeb.
Oh,
Sitting in
that's
AOL
cool.
chat rooms, CYBERRANK10 joins the rafters, watching everyone.
Wow, that's good, because it's something I brought up here before, that I've never been into anime, and it's just from recently getting into Gundam that now I go back and be like, oh, okay, anime is cool, because I gotta admit, when I was younger, I judged it. Like when I was in high school and all that, I was like, man, who's wearing an anime shirt? Like, because I wasn't
weird.
open.
Yeah, it was totally weird.
Yeah, and now that I see what it is, it's like, it's just, there's so much fun. It's not about it being anime. It's just about there's all these stories that can be told. Everywhere. So when did you, or do you build kits?
I have once.
Oh, okay.
And twice. No, I think I bought that one that just built and then it broke apart. And then I had to put it back together, and then I realized
rebuild still counts.
Right. But my first kit that I ever built was when I saw Gundam Epion on Toonami. I fell in love. It was also probably during my Zex Marquise personality phase, and I was just like, I saw this mobile suit kick. I think he kicked Wing Zero's butt, or like he was like comparable to Wing Zero, and like Hito was like, "What is this? This is crazy!" And I'm like, "Oh, this mobile suit's sick." The color scheme, the whip thing, the story leading up to it, and
it goes and cuts a battleship in half with that. that was such an epic scene, and it's set to like the bumping like rhythm and motion.
Yeah.
And
so growing up in New York, I had the ability to find cool places and cool like crevices in Manhattan. So we have Chinatown. Go down to Chinatown, you go down a certain set of stairs, and it takes you to an underground mall in Chinatown, which is just like, the only way you would know about that is if a friend showed you or told you about it, or took you. Really, they would have to take you in order for you to know it's there. And so I remember going there and walking around, and then there's this really cool guy who's just like in a hole in a wall with a bunch of boxes all around him, and there's just like an elbow and a head poking out. And like you're just like, how much is that? How much is that? How much is that? And he's like, oh, it's like $30, $40, $60. So I kept coming around and I kept looking at the Epion unit. And after a while, he was like, I'll cut you a break. I'll like take $10 off. And like,
Oh.
if you want to get it for, I think it was like $50 and he gave it to me for 40.
Wow.
And so no tax. I was just like, he just felt so bad. He's like, no tax, clean cut. Here you go.
That's cool.
And I took it home. I put it together, and it was the first thing I had ever built, and I was so proud because it was just so magnificent. I'm like, you were so like, the whip, and just, it transformed too. Like it turned around its feet and all that stuff. So I felt very accomplished having such a a cool mobile suit of my own.
Yeah, that's cool. So then going forward, were you just always like into Gundam pretty much?
Yeah.
Were there phases ever?
I think it was just because specifically Gundam Wing and Zero. Gundam Wing and what was that? Endless Waltz.
Oh yeah, the movie.
Yeah, I think the movie was awesome just because I thought the words endless waltz were new to my vocabulary at the time, and I was like, okay,
that's a pretty cool combination of words.
Yeah. I think and there were always characters that like kind of like made me attached to it. And then even the politics stuff, like I didn't realize it was politics at the time. I just thought it was called storytelling. And then I learned about Star Wars. And then I was like, oh, that is the same.
Yeah.
Person standing at a podium talking about no war while having war. So, okay. I guess I'm all right with the politics part. And so I didn't keep up with the Gundams over time. Like, funny enough, I just recently watched Iron Blood, like on Christmas. And, I did a community day thing with my community, and we watched Iron Blood. I was like, and then like next month I watched Turn A. I watched a little bit of 00, and then a bunch of people told me don't watch Seed. So
that seems to be a running theme.
So I'm going to watch it and then judge it for myself, as I always do.
Yeah, do it.
But I have to admit, the animation style helped me kind of relate to why they were saying don't watch Seed, because it's definitely a different vibe.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I agree, and I would be interested to see what you think, because I'm the same way, where I'll hear what people say, I'll form my own opinion. A lot of times it's different. Like, I don't like Seed, but I love Seed Destiny. I was surprised.
Heard that, right? I've heard
it was like different. I was like, wow, this kind of gets a lot more into it, even the story and all that. So yeah, it'd be cool to see what you think when you get there. Is that going to be a community thing, maybe? Watching Seed?
Probably not.
Is that too much work?
So many mixed opinions.
Episodes.
It's nice to just like watch something and form my own without any outside.
Exactly.
Then,
totally agree. Totally agree.
But no, really, it was just like Gundam Wing and G Gundam carried me for a very long time. Especially because like G Gundam was like great. You could just jump into it at any episode. I think, the storytelling was great because like, have you seen this guy? Have we seen this guy? Is he in this episode? No. Yeah. All right, we'll find out in the next episode. So I thought like that was great storytelling. You didn't have to know politics or who's who and what. Yeah. And then it's Master Asia, who's probably one of the most over the top characters in all of Gundam, and he knows it. And so I felt it was super funky. It was really cool.
No, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool about G Gundam because I got into Gundam recently, so I just watched G Gundam I think last year.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was enjoyable, but for Gundam, it's not anything crazy. But then I love the lasting sort of not just memes, but how there's just references of everything everywhere all the time. It's like Gundam is just this one big world in that way. So were you playing any Gundam games before Evolution?
I have had. I think Dynasty Warriors Gundam and Journey to Jaburo were like my top two memorable ones that I've owned, and I thoroughly enjoyed before Twitch. And then I always sat on Twitch looking at streaming on Twitch, looking at other games, and like going, "Oh, that's Gundam me," or "That has a Gundam vibe," or "I'll play Overwatch because Reinhardt reminds me of a Gundam, in this skin," or "Diva feels like what a mech system would interface would look like." So I would cope as they call it. I would cope wanting to play Gundam games but not really having any like access to them outside of like them being like a port or some other way of getting it, and I didn't feel like jumping through the hoops. I just wanted. Also, it really helps with the type of like content I like making. I like low barrier to entry community based stuff. So like there was never really any low barrier to entry community based Gundam up until now, with Gundam Evolution and GBO2 on PC, specifically on PC.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm excited about, because I well, do you say something, Steven? Sorry, I think
that's a very good point. Like that low barrier to entry. I feel like it's hard to kind of attract an audience to some of these sort of we call them abandonware games now. Like all of these old PS1, PS2 era Gundam games that nobody's kind of heard about, and so like it's kind of cool to see people streaming them now as like a historical artifact, but you're not going to really get a community built up around it because nobody else can play with you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's what's crazy too. Like Steven helped me get back into buying a PS3 again, so then I can play those PS3 Gundam games that I didn't know existed because they didn't come out here, or if they did, I just didn't know. I loved mechs. I've always loved mechs, but didn't know Gundam, and so that's kind of like what I'm doing with this channel, is like learning about it. But
me too. Yeah.
One other thing too is because you said you've been streaming for so long. This kind of goes back to the streaming. Do you feel like you have been able to grow into who you are just by consistently doing it all the time, to where you feel so confident when you're on a stream? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. However, I keep surprising myself with growth that I've settled on the idea that like this is an ongoing process.
Oh no, that's a good way to look at it.
It's an ongoing process. So it's like even my channel itself has had features added to it that add more personality than before, because these features weren't available before. Like I'll like find memes and then I'll make them redeemable things. So if you like click a like if we had a really rough match and you can click a button and infamous scene of Metal Gear Solid 4 will pop up where like what's his name, Miller is like Snake, we're diamond dogs, we're demons, and Snake takes a hit of his cigar thing and the music plays and it's all like, or Jean-Claude Van Damme will show up and be like, great job. That type of stuff. So I mean, that stuff has changed the way my content is, because it's like, when you watch YouTube videos and it's like, oh man, this guy spent like 60 hours producing a 3-minute video of just a bunch of memes back to back over gameplay. Now you can do that live. Which is really neat.
That's true.
So I mean, again, it's like I find that depending on what games I'm playing, my personality is a little different. Who I'm playing with. What this even and the fact that it allows me to branch out. So instead of doing a stream for 11 hours where it's gameplay, I may do like a talk show that's 2 hours.
That's cool.
I recently started doing spectating for Gundam Evolution for their big events for the esports scene. And so on like Mondays and Fridays, I would host community nights where community joins lobbies. I work the spectator cam with like PlayStation controller with specific configurations for the analog stick to make the visuals smooth, and and I'm planning to do the same thing in GBO2. So it's like I think what's cool about this is it's like if we're allowing ourselves to like put ourselves out there to the world, like let's not get stuck being one version of ourselves, and like embrace the idea of like like reach in and try new things. And like to yourself, you said you're learning Gundam now later on. I have one. She's asleep. Luckily, hopefully she sleeps the entire time.
Yeah. They're about to go with mom to the vet, so I think they're getting excited.
I know that feeling. Boy, she's like 5 months, 6 months old.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing those pictures. Like you would in the morning or something with. Yeah, that's cool.
But it's like, let the community, like open myself up and be like, guys, teach me, what is Gundam? Like, I've never seen this mobile suit before.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I only know these two of Gundam, and they're so willing to teach that it's cool. Cause then I step away and I'm like, wow, I'm a different version of me than I was yesterday, because now I know that this suit, specifically a space suit or something like that. So yeah, like I know I'd say the answer to your question is like I guess no, it's always growing. I even started getting into Warhammer, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
Very
so to
cool.
your effect, it's like you got in late, you saw it from afar. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, oh, I've already seen Warhammer from afar, but now I catch myself, and it was during the pandemic, beginning of it all, where like I'm like, oh, I'm stuck home. And I caught it, and from like a family member. And so I was like, oh man, I feel like death. What should I do? And I'm like, well, let me keep my mind stimulated now that I have all this time. And I popped on some Warhammer stuff from YouTube, which has a vast resource. And I started listening and learning. And now I'm playing Warhammer games on any that come out.
That's
to,
cool. Like Bolt Gun was the new
Oh.
one. Have you played that? Because I think I saw that you were gonna play it. Hold on one second. Lucas, can you close the door? Like,
Chat Bolt Gun is so good.
you want that $5, don't you? Okay, no.
Bolt Gun is so good, chat.
Okay, so Bolt Gun is good. Okay, because I mean that's my type of FPS anyway. Like, so if you like, I'm gonna have to grab it.
You got to taunt after every kill.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Emperor says blah blah
Oh,
blah.
I love that because that's like, see, I'm with you with Warhammer. Like, I've never been deep into it, but like I played the Dawn of War games on PC. And I loved like
it's more than me. That's awesome.
I love the world, and like they would have all these world building like one-liners or things and names of things, and I'm like, these are the craziest made of Latin
heresy.
Yeah, all that
You've
stuff.
all heard of it, but what is it? You know?
Yeah, and so that's why like I'm always, but I think it's that accessibility that you're talking about. Like, what could they do? And I think it's what they're going to be doing, where Henry Cavill's going to be making a show. So I think that's the best way to kind of get people into it. Yeah, because that's a good one.
That's a lot of lore to dig into. I mean, Gundam has a lot of lore, but like 40K has.
And I feel like they're hand in hand. Like they're like Space Marines are basically people inside giant suits.
Yeah, that's right.
Dramatic damage, and like mobile suits are basically people inside of suits that do dramatic that are also for war. You know, like,
and actually both sometimes the person inside the suit is dead.
Right. It's weird. Yeah, like, but I find that both of their communities actually pretty like are chill together too. I'll like play a Gundam game and then jump into a Warhammer game, and it's still the same people talking, you know. So I find that it's neat to find ways of like cross-pollinating the communities like that without them even realizing it.
Yeah, like with the Star Wars thing, I think you brought up the politics. Like with episode 1, I remember people would complain about the politics in Star Wars. That's the first time I realized, oh, they're talking about politics. Yeah, and then that was more interesting to me. So then when I got into Gundam later in life, I was like, oh, they start from the start. This is about politics. And I was like, I like this world building. And so like, I love that crossover of fandoms. That's pretty fun. So I want to touch on something you said about, you're talking about having different personalities depending on what you're doing. That's a really cool approach, because sometimes I'm so focused on, okay, what personality am I growing into? But I don't need to be so static in that. I can be dynamic.
Oh, yeah. It's the dynamic content model too. Yeah. Like the idea of doing this spectator mode where this is something that didn't exist when Twitch was in its infancy. It was just, you're going to watch this guy play a game. Yeah. But now you have the ability to basically play producer, and you can sit there and say like, look, these guys are going to be streaming their games. They're going to be doing that thing. I'm just going to be playing with the camera angles, offering my commentary over top of it. We've got our stingers and we've got our transitions and stuff. I mean, you're basically creating like your own version of like an NFL game on TV, but all by yourself from your computer. It's amazing.
And there's so many like levels to that, because like that, what you described would be like the perfect production. And then you have like folks that are just like, I'm streaming, you guys do your thing, and I'll just like maybe play some music and like just record it, and that's it. And the people still want that. They still want that too. You know,
you're not even like competing for audiences at that point, because it's like, no, but people want to see both. Like I for one have enjoyed seeing you know, some of these GBO spectator matches where it's like you just get 2 or 3 guys together and they're talking about ideas, and I mean it's awesome, and you're just watching the match from a spectator view instead of from behind one mobile suit. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the thing that I learned is like the interesting thing about life too, or just overall, is like I can do something cool, but I'm only one individual with a limited spectrum of what cool I can do. But if I include a bunch of people, I can see a bunch of cool stuff, and then go like, oh wow, I didn't know that, or oh wow, like that looks cool. And again, it's like my brain's also like wired on, I play fighting games, so it's like that's the core of fighting games, like you're just one player and like thousands and millions of other players that are playing the same character, but everyone's playstyle is wildly different. And no matter how long a fighting game is out, you'll find someone that goes, hey, I just found a new combo, or a new patch will come out and they're like, hey, I found a new combo that is an instant kill, and everyone's like, oh, who are you? So
you see it in GBO2 where it's like, hey, what's the new meta? Like,
Right.
I just found a new combo that's going to push this mobile suit's damage like over 60k, like stuff like that. It's
and it's funny because like in our community, there's shout out to USS Talos has been teaching me a whole lot, making me like I've been playing GBO2 for fun. Like I take it seriously, but I'm not a tryhard about it, But he's taught me how
likes to win.
He's taught me how to look at specific skills, specific things to then really get a little deeper and have fun. But then even Steven recently put together a bunch of people to play, and then I realized, wow, I have fun playing with a group of people. And then it's like, again, these two people helped kind of renewed that interest in GBO2, and then the PC release, of course, is helping. That's going to be a load of fun once it gets all fixed. Are you still banned?
Do your research. Yes, for having too much fun. I was for context, I was hosting lobbies and obviously network issues were happening, and so I kept dropping and the lobbies kept crashing, and then eventually I logged back in and it was like, hey buddy, you got a penalty for like a day and 9 hours or 15 hours. And I was like, it took me back. I was like, I haven't gotten a penalty.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, hopefully they're fixing it. I guess, they've got people working on it. They've confirmed they're working on it. So that's good to know. And, again, it's something Steven and I always talk about. We hate when people are like, oh, the devs are lazy. What are they doing? And it's like, no, these people are doing the best they can with what they've got. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt. If anything, I'll be mad at maybe the exec at the, the publisher level or something, because they just, but when it comes to the developers, they're doing the best they can always. To call them lazy is not right.
It's called tempering your expectations. It's like how many years will a person subject themselves to network reliant games and be oblivious to the fact that on networks anything and everything can go wrong at any time? That's just how it is.
Well, I think that it's a generational thing where to kind of tie it back to your story about finding your first Gundam kit in Manhattan in this like underground, it reminds me of like the kind of story about Miyamoto and how he developed like the first Legend of Zelda. And he's like, I wanted to create an adventure game that captured my childhood sense of adventure and finding things and like talking to friends and like spreading rumors like, oh, did you know that maybe if you blow up this wall? That is something that like our generation had when we were seeking out anime stuff, because it was like you would have to find the obscure stores. Maybe a friend would tell you like, oh, you got to go, to this mall and this spot. And then you ended up haggling with a shopkeep, which is something that like, people nowadays don't understand that. They just hop on Amazon and pay whatever the price is.
Yeah, that's true. We truly do live in the information age. We truly do.
Yeah.
It's wild. And so, for guys like us, we can kind of temper our expectations because we know what it's like to have to wait 2 months for another DBZ tape to come out. And yes, I mean a VHS tape that my brothers and I would go pick up from like,
oh no, Vegeta's dead forever. Store. Oh my god, like he's debating with you at Lord Yama right now. Okay, so he's not out of the picture, but I didn't know that for like 2 years.
Exactly. So we are patient, and so we encourage our communities to be patient with devs and with these types of deliverables.
We just ask for communication. I think that's really what it is. Like it really just boils down to like, how do you make people consuming your product tolerant or happy, or it's just information. I think I made an analogy a while back on Twitter where it was like the difference between the two is like if you're standing in line and someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, we'll be with you in a second. It's a little, bit of a wait today. Can you just give us like 5 minutes or so? That makes you feel better because you're like, oh wow, I'm being acknowledged. I'm standing here. No one has to do that. Versus you're standing in line for something and no one says anything. They see you, you have that awkward eye contact for the moment. They look at you, they look down, and you're still standing there, and you're just like, is there a delay? Is the place open? Normally we just walk right in because that's your expectation. And so when developers or anyone in any service industry, specifically service industries, it's important. You got to talk to your audience. If you want them to, because it's funny because like you can release a product and then I get it. Once people spent money's spent. We don't care anymore. You bought the thing for $60. You complain all you want. Write as many Steam reviews. We got your $60.
Right.
But when you're doing live services, it's very different. Live services live and die based on customer support. And so when it comes to live services, there's like over communication that's awesome because you can sell someone on a game based off of the fact where they're like, oh man, I heard that game sucks. It's like, yeah, but like they communicate with us, they let us know what's going on, like we never feel like we're in the dark. And for some people that's worth their interest, that's worth their money, that's worth their loyalty. And I think like even when you look at games like Final Fantasy 14, which like had like I recently got into that last year, all the way up to what was it, Shadowbringers. It was just like I would ask people like, why do you guys love this game? So I used to play EverQuest, I used to play World of Warcraft, and they're like, because the devs communicate with us. We have like open dev talks and musicals and all these other things. And I'm like, wow.
And they're still willing to listen to feedback.
Yeah.
I think there was that infamous story about like, there were fans of the game that were suffering from the phobia of like punched holes, and they like redid some of the UI to accommodate people that had that. It's like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you're never gonna get that from like EA.
And to be fair, that's what makes these companies stand out. It is the little things, and it's like I think I used to work for Apple, so if there's one thing that I took away from them, right? There's one or a couple of things I took away from that. This is while Steve Jobs is still alive, and everything was very different. But if one of the things that I took away from it is like you don't have to do grandiose things to stand out. Sometimes it's just the little stuff. So I think if there was one thing that I was trained that I really really took in and received was just the idea of like, communication and customer support is like phenomenal. So, if you're calling someone up, hey, I just finished your computer, it's almost done, you come pick it up, versus, hey, I dropped my computer off and no one's called me, like what's going on? That's two different experiences.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up a really good point because Steven and I, especially on his channel, when we do his stream, we talk game development, talk game industry, because I have a lot of knowledge in game industry stuff in general. He does too. But one thing, and this is the same with movies, is these companies spend so much money on marketing because they just want, without anyone being able to play it, buy the product.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point. If they spent that much effort after the fact, they would allow their games to continue to survive. I think Redfall could be a good example because like really the Redfall devs were silent. Maybe that game did turn out bad, but what if they're like, you know what, let's pump money into communicating and making updates because it is live service. That could be a revenue generating thing, even if we'll just have to crunch the numbers to see how they want to do that. And I am surprised with GBO2 how long it's already been out on PlayStation, now getting a PC release, and they're going to continue to support it. And I'm always like, it's interesting how sometimes a publisher will do good, but sometimes fall flat.
Yeah,
that's the thing about those free-to-play models, though, is they encourage that type of developer communication and support because you have to. If you want, because you're still fighting for those microtransactions, you have to accommodate the customers. When it comes to movies, all they care about is whether you buy the ticket at the box office. And so if maybe that could be a future filmmaking business model of like you watch the movie for free and then there's a marketing push after the fact. That would be an interesting, because obviously gaming has gone that direction. So
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, this is good stuff. Good stuff. And real quick, I have your links in the description, but you would primarily want people to go to your Twitch, right? Is that your main?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
where you pretty much find me there.
Twitch there, Twitter's in the
using-
links.
Yeah, I started using YouTube as well recently for like clips and
Oh,
stuff like that.
okay.
Like old long playthroughs of things like Nier and what have you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Twitch is where you can find me. That's
Well,
the fun place.
Let me ask you, I never heard of Veiled Experts until I saw you were streaming it. And that actually looks good, but is it?
Yeah.
Because I never hear about it.
It is a very interesting take on a I like third-person action games. I like to see my character. It's just like
I get it.
It's just So it's third person. It's basically Rogue Company meets CS:GO. That's the best way it was explained to me. Rogue Company third-person action game with rolling and tons of other mechanics.
Yeah.
CS:GO, where you buy your weapons and there's bomb defusal and all that other stuff. And so it is a Nexon game, which Nexon has a reputation of just making games.
And seeing what
here
sticks.
they're out. Here you go. They recently did this very bold move that a lot of they banned at least like over 1,000 accounts. And mind you, they just went like, early access, out to play, good to go.
Mhm.
Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and they just banned like over 1,000 accounts that were doing like fraudulent and weird stuff. And that's very bold, because usually when your game just comes out, you're trying to hold on to as many people as you can. So for them right off the gate, just banning, all of the, and it was the funniest part too, is like if you go to their Steam page, they give you all of the names of everyone that they've banned with like asterisks in there, so that
talk about communication.
you don't see the full name, but it's just like Joe asterisk blah 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 blah, and it's just like, whoa.
Now,
like,
did
talk
that
about
help or hurt?
transparency? I mean, it helps because no one likes playing a game that's full. No one likes playing a multiplayer game where it's so much cheating in your life.
Exactly.
Or like someone's doing malicious things so like that helps. And it also sets a statement that like we're not effing around, like we want everyone to enjoy themselves. And it's kind of like saying we'd rather have like I guess like a player base that is good and healthy than a player base that is large and unhealthy, which a lot of companies will go with. They'll release a game and they'll just be like, oh, we got 20,000 people playing it every hour. And it's like, yeah, but those are like 15,000 malicious people being malicious. But you want to, I guess it looks good to the investors that there's 20,000 people playing an hour. So I think it's
plan on playing it more?
Yeah, I do. I think it's fun because
I like the rolling, the third person, like you were saying.
I'll give you an example of how interesting the game gets. It's like there's a perk where when you roll, you get one hit point back.
Yeah,
so
I was watching you do that. I think one of the streams.
There's an umbrella turret. There's like a suit of armor that you can put on and charge in and do. So it's definitely like not grounded. It's super neat. And it's very over the top when it comes to, you can tell they wanted streamers to play this because like the loading screens are very dynamic. There's like a movie intro and like there's like executions and stuff like that, similar to Gears of War. So I think visually it's a fun watch.
Yeah, it is. That was definitely, that's interesting. A game that is more fun to watch than maybe it is for a large player base, but that still helps.
Yeah,
there's like its own.
Helps.
That's interesting. Well, okay, let's get to this other topic because you posted it on your Twitter, and I think I've been thinking about this all week. Is it Street Fighter 6 or Diablo 4?
Results.
Just check the results because I mean, Steven, I don't know. Have you thought of playing either one?
Let me check.
I mean, don't shoot me, but I am not a Diablo guy. Never been.
It's okay.
Never
and
been
I
a
haven't
dungeon
been myself
crawler type player. So if anything, I would be picking up Street Fighter. But it's like,
dedicating the time because
been burned by Capcom before.
Right. And I will say
in the YouTube chat.
What's that?
Can I post a link? Post
the link. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's Capcom. I think they've been killing it, but what they've been doing is making sure they're targeting the widest audience possible, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Like we talked about how Resident Evil 4 remake did that, where they changed things to make it more appealing. Street Fighter 6, I think, is doing things in a good way. I heard the training is a lot more focused to really get you to learn how to use the character. Not that, oh, here's the character's moves, but here's how and when to use a character's moves. And then they have kind of like a single player experience in a way where you can really on your own kind of get into it. The thing with Diablo is every once in a while I need just a turn off my brain action RPG.
Yes.
And I feel like Diablo 4 is going to fit that.
Yes.
Whereas Street Fighter 6 is going to be turn on the brain, let's train. You know.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jason? What would you pick, you think? Yeah, I
don't know.
I think I'm
Right
just gonna
now,
get bolt gun and call
My
it a day.
Twitter is sitting at like 52% for Diablo and 48% for Street Fighter 6.
It's pretty close.
And so it's a weird, I'm in a weird spot because for like a good 2 years I spent my community's time and my own playing Guilty Gear.
Oh, Guilty Gear,
Guilty Gear Rev, Guilty Gear
It's a beautiful
Strive,
game.
and I learned like I wanted to learn a fighting game, and I was messing around. Street Fighter didn't catch me, and all the other stuff. And so Guilty Gear was like, well, I get this, and then the music was like,
Oh,
and
music
it's
in
so
that game.
bad, guys.
I've
like-
probably listened to more hours of the music than playing the game.
right, and so it's like I know I have at my core a community that likes fighting games, but I also know I like them too. But then I also know that Diablo is more like, oh, what's this? What's this? There's magic everywhere. What's this?
Yeah, I
there's
think it
blood
lends
in the
to
air, you know,
engaging with the community while playing. In
Yeah.
Street Fighter, you might be really focused. I don't know. You know,
So
what is some of your favorite fighting games? Because I used to be a huge fighting game fanatic myself.
there's a game called Rising Thunder that came out briefly, and then it got bought out to make, from what I understand, Project L, which will be the Riot's fighting game. And so
I have
that
not
game
played
had like, that game was literally it was like, what if you made a fighting game that revolved around rollback versus what if you make a fighting game and then implement rollback? That game just felt great as soon as you booted it up because everyone had, you know, great networks, and the characters weren't very diverse, but like it was very grounded and very simple. But I think for fighting games, it has to be Guilty Gear.
Guilty,
to
yeah, that's why I
be-
bought
I mean,
a PS2
yeah.
when the first Guilty Gear.
Aesthetically, that game is stunning.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah.
such a unique style.
I love Mortal Kombat. I grew up on that. I grew up on Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, obviously, because those were
We think
easy
of,
accessible.
Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive 2, I think, is my favorite.
Oh wow,
fighting
Dead or
game.
Alive and Virtual Fighter, right? Those two. I feel like those two are in the same boat. I think they've had like poor
Sequels.
strategies for like marketing and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Soul Calibur and Tekken. Before
Oh.
Guilty Gear, it was
Soul
Soul
Calibur.
Calibur
Yeah,
and Tekken.
those. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dreamcast was the best for fighting games.
Yeah.
I remember when the
Yes.
Dreamcast came out. Marvel vs. Capcom, all that.
Right,
Right.
I gotta ask, have you played my favorite fighting game? This is the one that I've dumped the most hours into. And if Talos is like the master of GBO2, I was
Yeah.
the master of this fighting game.
What's that?
The Bloody Roar series.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah,
that's
I've played
cool.
Bloody Roar.
that was a fun
that
Is
needs
that
to come back.
PlayStation 2?
That needs to come back.
yeah, PlayStation
Yeah.
PlayStation 1.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a great game.
That's cool. But Steven, have you played many fighting games since then?
Oh yeah, I mean I stick with like the classic ones, you know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of them I think I've put more hours into
Oh.
than Bloody Roar.
Yeah.
That's a
They were great.
unique pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, real quick, we're gonna move into a Gundam topic.
Hey,
So
on Gundam Explained? No.
yeah, I know, right? No, but this is very interesting because so there's the Bandai Namco Filmworks, which is supposed to be responsible for the film, the shows, whatever, not games, not manga. And they had these two names that they trademarked recently: Mobile Suit Gundam, Silver Phantom, and Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. Both very interesting. I find it interesting how one is Mobile Suit Gundam and the other is just Gundam. I wonder what that means.
Sure.
And actually, let me do this thing I was going to do where I'm going to share my screen out so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Okay.
And cool titles, just like we were talking about before with like Endless Waltz.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
the Gundam subtitles always have this this weight to them. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and it
sound
usually
magnanimous.
means something, but it's hard to see without watching it what it could mean. Now, so Jason, coming from me personally, I would love it to be a Universal Century thing. I'm all into Universal Century, so I want to see some more stories there. But I do know Gundam is more than just Universal Century.
Right.
Silver Fan. So the other thing is that Next 100 is supposed to contain new stories in Universal Century after UC 100. So I know they're doing Hathaway, but I wonder, Silver Phantom, sometimes there's people that have said that could be a reference to Unicorn because of Silver Bullet and the, I guess, the Phantom being maybe the Unicorn Gundams, how they go crazy or something.
Well, there are 2 previous mentions of Phantom in like UC Gundam canon, because you have the Gray Phantom, which is the Albion type carrier that correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's from Flash Beyond the Blaze,
I don't know.
with the Gundam 4th and 5th. The Gray Phantom, it's like a white base type carrier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Silver Phantom, pretty close to that.
Yeah, and then also the Crossbone, because a lot of people keep asking for Crossbone, and there's that Phantom Ghost Phantom, I think.
Right.
Crossbone. So maybe it could be. I think people would love Crossbone.
I recently discovered what Crossbone was on the launch of Gundam Evolution, when we were like looking over the YouTube page. And I was just scrolling down. I was like just filling time. We had like 30-40 minutes before the servers went live. And I'm like looking at the mobile suits, and I get down to like Crossbone. I think it was like Crossbone something. And like the second form is like 3 forms or something. It's like the second form of it. And I'm like, that is a vibe. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It seems like it would be goofy, but it works. And like I have the metal build Crossbone, and then I even have the little, and this is one I painted recently, the Mobile Suit Ensemble Crossbone. It's fully articulated and stuff.
Yes, that was the one. He has a crossbow, and he has the sword, and I'm like,
there's something about it that's cool. And what's cool about the manga is it connects to other earlier UC, mainly like F91. It has those characters. So
Double Zeta.
F91
Double Zeta
king,
Judo.
So
short. I mean that would be awesome if that's what that is. But I mean, I know that there's been talks of a sequel to Unicorn anyway. Thoroughbred Rogue New Type is saying from that game Encounters in Space, there's a Thoroughbred that has that Gray Phantom or whatever.
I think I saw those 2 things, and I immediately defaulted back to, so here's what I did. I'd watch the Thunderbolt movies, right? The first and the second. And then I did it as a community thing. And then after the second one, I was like, all right, guys, I can't find the third. Where's the third at? They were all like, oh, he doesn't know. So like, I'm seeing this, and I'm like, shoot, all they did was just leave out Thunderbolt. Like there has to be, I need a third movie, because
I know that I love Thunderbolt. It like takes the action of UC and just like, and I like the cult aspect they did with the new types in that second one. Like, that neat idea. But this other one, okay, so it's a picture. I thought it would. Anyway, it's Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. Looks like 8th MS team in terms of like the font. But it doesn't say Mobile Suit Gundam. But there's AUs that say Mobile Suit Gundam and AUs that don't. So, like, there you go, old typeware. So, like, I don't know what that could be. Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, unless, what if that is the movie? The live action movie, and it's just Gundam and not Mobile Suit Gundam. That's the only thing. When it just says just Gundam, it makes me think it's being targeted that way for a reason.
Broader appeal.
That is simple marketing.
Yeah,
Gundam, just Gundam, not Mobile Suit. Just Gundam. You need, if you want to introduce something to people and you want them to step away with just one word, Gundam, Sonic, Mario, it makes sense.
Well, and even think about like the way that a lot of Western fans were introduced to Gundam, via Toonami. It was Gundam Wing, or New Mobile Report Gundam Wing is the full title. But they left out the mobile suit for Toonami. It was just
too mouthy.
Gundam Wing.
It's way too mouthy. Mobile Suit Gundam.
And so, but what's interesting about that too is I have a lot of reason to believe that live action movie is actually going to be a Build Fighters thing. The only reason is because the way they've worded, they're going to make sure it appeals to fans of all Gundam. And then that rumor, which I almost think it's just completely made up, but Timothy Chalamet playing a character named Kit. So like a model kit building.
I sure hope that that's not true.
Yeah. So,
that's dumbing down a little too much.
Yeah, so if they're really going to do, if it is Gundam Requiem for Vengeance is supposed to be this movie coming out, then I think that title is badass and says a lot about what it could be. A military looking font, you know, sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know.
That doesn't sound like Build Fighters, though. I mean, I can't imagine like a high school kid being like, "Requiem for Vengeance."
Yeah. I know.
Like,
yeah, you're getting all serious.
I am Gundam.
Hands of my high grade.
And the transformation like takes 20 minutes, and he's like, you know, building out the.
They're
the
basically
thing.
common writers. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh man, if they totally change it like that Super Mario movie in the 90s. We get a Gundam movie and it's like completely different. You just have soldiers with V-fins on their helmets or something.
I mean, you know what's really funny? I've seen I've seen Twitter art where like some artists have like taken the mobile suits and just made them into like, you know, suits. Like,
And it looks good.
And it looks good. And I'm
It
like,
actually,
wow, like,
that
looks cool.
The concept artist for Halo said they took inspiration from the GM Spartan.
Of course.
And it's called a Spartan. And it's like, wow.
It's funny too because I'm a big Halo fan, so it was just like, but it's the suits, you know, it's 100%
exactly the design. That stuff is cool. Yeah. So that is interesting to think. I think you're right though that I wouldn't necessarily be mad if that was a thing. Well, like what if future UC they adapt the Gundam Aryan
make it smaller
because
it's just
suits.
That's what they did in F91. Make it smaller, make it smaller, make it smaller.
Yeah.
Now it just on you
like
Guyver.
This was, I mean, the plot could even be like, like, all right, give us the exposition. This is the mobile suit, you know, they're like usually 50. Don't kill me, chat. I'm making shit up. Please. Sorry, I don't know if I just came out.
No, these guys are
do
cool.
that on my own screen. Like it's 50 feet tall. Don't quote me on this. Oh, he must be talking about F1 or something. I don't know. But it's like you know, 50 feet tall. This is how much metal we have. We could make this one thing that can get blown up, or we could melt it down and just give it to all of these soldiers of age, not children,
course.
of age, obviously. Give it all these soldiers of age and have an infantry thing, which means we could get more mobile suits in a movie than it being just the big one. And then all of these, because after a while, it's like the weird thing about Gundam movies is like, all right, well, how many mobile suits can we fit on the screen before you're fighting in like 6 countries at once? These things are big, you know. So
and I'm all for like the thing that I like about Star Wars or even Aliens, the movie, is where you have a lot of the same thing and they're just like they're pitted against each other. Like a ton of the GMs, a ton of Zaku 2s just pitted against each other, and then you have the one general and it's the RX-78-2 and
you imagine, I got goosebumps. You imagine just like sending the special squad and it's like 3 suits and they get suited up and you find out they're like 3 DOMs.
Yeah.
You know, and they got they take their rocket launchers off the thing and they're like, and again, it's like they're moving more like you, because that's the funny thing about Gundam. The more you watch it, the more you realize, like, why are they moving like humans? Like, why did that Gundam just salute the other Gundam? like what? Like, what is that? Why are you doing that?
That is something that because I've liked mechs my whole life, and that is something later in life where I had to learn to just get over things. And I think that is one thing where at first the kind of super slim bipedal giant robot was not as realistic as say something from like Mech Warrior. Right. But I was like, I don't care. I want to enjoy this, and you know, it happened. So anyway, I just can't wait for them to actually reveal what some of this stuff is. I know that COVID has delayed some things in general, and then there's the writer's strike. I don't know if that's just a U.S. thing, so in Japan we don't have to worry about that for.
Yeah, and they don't have unions.
I think it's a morality thing, I guess. You know, like if it doesn't affect directly, then it does like affect the idea of like, oh, we were working with this team overseas, but now they're not. You know, there's a strike, so like. Or just the idea of like, hey, did you hear the writer's strike going on? Like, what? Why? And they're like, oh, because of these things. And they're like, maybe we should, you know, like maybe we should strike too. Like, shut up, no. But I don't know. I think didn't last time there was like a writer's strike like the content that came out was incredible.
I don't remember. I don't remember,
Not,
but I
not
remember
from
there
them,
was
but it was
something.
like from individuals.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, there's a writer strike going on, but this show is amazing, which goes to show, like, do you really need like a whole team of people to make a great show? Or do you really just need to listen to the 4 people that actually have good ideas?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, don't need
sometimes
so
it's
many
about
cooks.
giving people a shot, right?
Yeah, that too.
You know, you might have a team of writers that have been working for years. They have reputations in the industry, and of course, they have all the right friends, and so they get all the gigs. But then, you know, there might be that barista that has the next Matrix movie in her
She's
head.
literally been writing the script of Matrix movies on every cup that she gives out.
Exactly. And so yeah, like you said, you know, these types of it does cause some upheaval. It does. It's like it's a period of strife.
Treat
But
people
sometimes
nice.
I think that periods of strife create some of the most beautiful artwork and some of the most like the best pieces of media that we get.
Good
And so
point.
like some of the best things that we've seen so far have come out of COVID.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no,
It's just, I think it's the human experience where it's like we sometimes do our best work. We've been shown to do our best work in times of great peril, but it's like, well, have we tried not making times of great peril and then making good work? Like that doesn't always have to correlate. Like,
yeah,
that's a good point too. I'm very interested in seeing what
me too.
More of this stuff is that comes out. You know, someone in chat said the Gray Phantom was the name of the ship in 0080.
That's what it was.
So
that was very popular. Yeah.
So even more, Silver Phantom almost points to that. Are they going to follow like White Base, except it's called Silver Phantom? Like, I feel like more and more that's where it's going.
Politically correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the novel, they switched it around, right? Instead of it being the Pegasus class White Base, it's the White Base class Pegasus.
Oh yeah,
wow.
that's right.
Okay.
And then I wonder, like, too, we don't have too many stories after 80. We have like in the video game, but not really. You know, between there's 83 and there's Zeta, but like 1 Year War has like more stories than I could really even think fit within 1 year. So I don't know. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, let me go back to this other review here. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Any other cool Gundam nonsense that happened this week that I happened to not bring up? I mean, GBO2's really been the nonsense, honestly.
GBO2's been great.
I can't wait to get back to that. I can't wait when it's fixed. Like, give it a week, and it will probably be good.
Like, let stuff iron out. That's why I was even saying, like, people were complaining, like, oh, why'd you release it during a weekday? And it's like, well, it's better on a Wednesday or a Thursday because the team that's doing it is still at work and they have 3 or 4 days to like iron stuff out. Yeah. Versus releasing it on the weekend where it's like, oh, good luck until Monday, you know, like, and
everyone is planning to play on the weekend because I'll for sure be playing more this weekend than I can during the week. So, that's cool. So I'm assuming you plan to stream it like this weekend.
Well, yeah, I'm completely tossing aside all other things. I haven't decided. I think what I'm gonna do, I might fund my Street Fighter 6 purchase by selling feet pics of Juri.
Oh, okay.
There is an audience.
There is an audience.
I guess. I don't know.
I've learned there is a database of feet
with
so.
Capcom and but that's true. But yeah, there's lots of GBO2 because again, like I like making my community have fun. Because I think a lot of people don't allow themselves to have fun in their everyday because there may not be an opportunity for it. But there's so many laughs that can be had when you're playing like AC guy and you're just like you're invisible on the radar, and then it's just like, all right, I'm gonna hang out here and watch everyone or I'm gonna stalk behind this guy and oh, you didn't see me, or it's like, why is that gun tank underwater? Oh, the gun tank's in space, or I'm gonna play Zoc, you know, and just be out here. And I did this silly thing where I was playing Zoc and I was talking like The Rock, and I was like, the Zoc sees you moving at him, the Zoc doesn't care about that, the Zoc is gonna charge his laser. So it's like
that's good.
It's so silly.
There's fun that
especially mega particle cannon.
Silly game.
No, but yeah, that's the thing about GBO2. As serious as some people take it, you can really actually have fun with it, especially with a bunch of people, especially with spectating it. So
And they have a
Definitely
free for all mode. They have a brawl mode, which I was thinking
Yeah,
about it earlier.
that's
today.
fun.
I'm actually having more fun doing the brawl where it's like every man for themselves
Yeah.
than the team based stuff, because sometimes some players, listen, games are out for 5 years. Some players are really good. All respect to you for being really good, but like some of us just kind of want to have some fun.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a lot easier to manage those really good people when it's a lobby of free for all. So, you know, it's like it's just hey, fun. When was the last time you played a video game for fun?
I know.
You know,
Yeah, it's great. And I think you do a good job of this, but like my message I'm trying to get there with GBO2 is to not make it scary for new people to play, because it really is like the best fun you can have with a mech game, I think. And like, I don't want people to feel there's that barrier of like, oh, I need to know all the specific mechanics of this, and I can't do this combo incorrectly, or I'm not playing right. You know,
right?
No, it's, you know, just have fun.
I'm gonna hold a fashion show-esque. I'm gonna have like a paint job fashion show next Wednesday on stream. So we're gonna have a prize.
What
So,
time do you
know,
usually stream that?
all day?
Oh, okay. Well,
11 hours. So like, I usually start around noon Eastern, and then go wherever the wind takes me. But
Okay.
I'll have more communication and stuff like that on Twitter and everything. But yeah,
Nice.
and that's to your point. You know, like, hey, you know, you try to win something from the game or gameplay. How about you just try to win for coming up with a creative paint job? You know, that type of stuff.
That is cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that. But anyway, you know, Jason, thanks a lot for being here. This was fun. Anyone that watches probably got an energized vibe now. I think I know I sure did.
Contagious with this level of positivity
And the muscles, but mine aren't growing yet. Maybe I can
positivity
push
to Earth.
Lend me your positivity.
All right. Well, cool. Well, everyone out there in the chat, thanks for watching. Great time as always.